Do you ever have those days where you wake up and you're extremely productive, you get everything done, you simply feel like you have laser focus, but then when you go to sleep, you say to yourself, tomorrow I'm going to do the same thing as I did today. And the next day rolls around and you just kind of feel like sluggish, you don't really feel like doing the work. So you simply do not complete it. You procrastinate and you kind of like switch from being focused and then you are lazy again and then you're undisciplined and then you are focused again. You cannot find something that will allow you to stop procrastinating and move your business even further. Well, I have got the exact solution for you because right now, when I'm working on my business, I never ever procrastinate. And I'm going to share a few learning lessons here, my 3-step blueprint on how I went from procrastinating on my business work. When I first started off my YouTube automation page, I procrastinated every single day. I would wake up and I would say to myself, I want to do this thing, or I want to change my profile banner, I want to change my offer or whatever. But I simply did not complete the given task that I knew was going to move me closer to my goal. So one day I discovered these 3 principles that I'm going to lay out right now for you to be able to grow even faster in your business. And if you're a business owner, this will help you a lot because productivity is directly linked to how much money you make, what results you will produce. Because if you don't stay focused, if you can't handle your productivity, you simply won't be able to create the given outputs that you need in order for you to reach one goal. So it's important that you stay focused on this video for you to even make faster progress. So first of all, I want to discuss something that most productivity advice is terrible. I've spent literally more than like 100 hours studying this subject of procrastination, productivity, mindset, mental health, what it takes for you to get something done. And most productivity advice is very, very generic. It's kind of like, oh, go to sleep on time, don't be sleep deprived, work something on you that you feel like is fun, use the Pomodoro technique, or just use this time management thing, or use a tree app that will help you to grow. I don't want to like shit talk every people's pieces of advice, but I simply want you to understand that it's very generic and it's hard to find specific crystal clear advice on what you can do to literally 10x your productivity. So what did I do? Well, I started to research in-depth courses, materials, lectures, everything that I could find out about how to slingshot my productivity, because if you can focus as great, if you can focus 2 times better than someone else, you will produce twice the amount of work in the exact same time. So you understand how powerful focus is. And what you first need to understand is that if you just kind of like stop listening to the most generic advice and you simply listen in to what I have to say right now, you will literally make even more progress. So first of all, you need to do these 2 habits to literally 10x your productivity. It's literally 2 things. You need to write down a specific to-do list. Now, why a to-do list? When you go to sleep, you should plan tomorrow today. And what you do is simple. You write down a very, very specific task, a list of tasks that you're going to perform tomorrow. You need to negotiate with yourself here. What will you get done and in what time frame? So for example, if you say, okay, so tomorrow I'm going to prepare this meeting that I'm going to have with my team, and you think to yourself, okay, so I don't really know what to work on tomorrow, and you simply just kind of like write down, work on my business. You need to be even more specific. Which task, in which time frame, in what order, everything needs to be written down. And since I've started to do this and take this seriously every single night, I've literally produced 10 times more work, and I'm not even exaggerating, because this is what will separate you from everybody else. Because if you kind of like have a basic to-do list, or you kind of like have one thing, but you simply do not really utilize it, or you procrastinate on it, or you don't follow it, you need to create an outline of exactly everything that you need to do and also why. So it can be great to set up systems and protocols for what goals you need to achieve. So you should have very, very crystal clear goals when it comes to entrepreneurship and all of these things. And considering that you are an entrepreneur, you probably have it. So when it comes to these things, you need to write down a list of 10 things that you're going to do as a non-negotiable. And if you don't complete, and before you've completed them, you cannot use, for example, your phone or social media or Instagram. A great way to do that is simply you can literally like have an app blocker until you've literally completed given tasks. So what I want you to do is write down the few things that you're going to do tomorrow. And those days when you are motivated, keep on working hard. But those days where you wake up and you're like, nah, I don't want to work today, you simply need to have this list as your non-negotiables. And on those days where you don't feel as motivated, take out a few things and move it on to a day where you think that you will be more productive. So when it comes to these things, you simply need to have your list prepared for tomorrow, because then you will know exactly what you need to do, and then you should get into a low frequency state. Now, what is a low frequency state? A low frequency state is pretty simple. It's a state where you don't introduce a lot of new stimulation into your in your present environment. So for example, right now, if I were to get 10 Instagram notifications on my phone, like bing, 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 I would get into a high frequency state because there's a lot of new things happening. There's lots of things that I could think of, and I can click on a notification and then I can watch a YouTube video and scroll some reels. You have a lot of stimuli, you introduce a lot of new things, and every single time you get a message, every single time somebody texts you, every single time you open a new tab, every single time that your friend calls you or somebody knocks at your door or whatever, that's a piece of novel stimuli. So try to minimize the amount of novel stimuli. This is why outside of work, you should try to optimize your work to be as stimulating as possible. And the simplest, most easy way you can do that is simply by retreating the amount of stimuli you're introducing to yourself when you're not working. So for example, if you would go and gamble before you work, it would be extremely boring to go to work that day, simply because you've introduced so much novel stimuli. But if you would have literally just sat and stared at a wall for the entire night and you feel energized to go to work, you would have literally been so much more motivated and fired up to go to work, simply because you are in a low frequency state. So what you need to do is you need to start asking yourself, when I work, do I have a lot of novel stimuli into my own environment? Do I have a lot of distractions? And just kind of like the idea that you could be distracted. For example, you have your phone right beside you when you're working. That's also a piece of novel stimuli, simply because when your brain knows that if you just reach for this thing, you can literally get 100 times more stimuli than you're working right now, then your brain will always have the thought of reaching for that thing and grabbing your phone. That's why it's important to kind of cover it under your bed sheet, put it into another room, or simply just put it away. And if you really, really need your phone, which most of you don't, and simply pick out times where you will not work on a given task because you need your phone, you need to answer a call, a message, whatever. Simply have crystal clear scheduled times for when you're going to use your phone and when you're not going to use it. Because if you're in the middle, you won't get it done. Because if you're gonna do something, go all the way, go all in. It's better to literally focus for 10 minutes with 100% pursuit than 5 hours when you're literally scrolling whilst you're working. You probably get what I'm saying here, but as an entrepreneur, if you want to get closer to your end goal, you simply need to understand that if you don't pick up your distractions and put them away, you will not get the work needed done. So you need to start getting into a low frequency state and start removing things out of your life. Subtracting is extremely important. I've got so many more things, but this is just a quick guide for you to implement on those days where you feel lost and don't really know how to utilize time management correctly. Another thing that I just want to remind you of is that If you are the type of person that's like, this seems pretty interesting, I want to learn more, click the link in the description and I will personally help you out to literally make a complete blueprint on how you can overcome procrastination, just like I have never ever, I don't ever struggle with procrastination. How you can literally go from this version of yourself where you feel like, oh, I'm lazy, I'm undisciplined, but I still do get some decent results, but I want to take it to the next level by increasing my focus and my productivity. You should go to the link in the description where I help you. It's completely for free to check it out. Just apply to work with me and I will help you hit your goal, because I will help you improve your focus by 10 times or even more than that in a rather short amount of time. Just imagine in 1 year where you would end up if you defeated this procrastination problem, or just increased your or if you just increased your productivity by 10%. That's what I'm offering you. No matter where you are in your entrepreneurial journey, you should literally seek this information, because imagine just 10%. Everything is exponential. If you do get to your goals, it's completely dependent on how much you sacrifice and also your ability to focus, because everybody has the same amount of time. So then it just simply comes down to your focus, because you can work for 24 hours a day with very, very low focus, then you won't get the result. If you do have very, very, very great focus, you don't need to work much at all. That's why I've literally built my coaching business on the side of things. I have built my dream physique. I've achieved top grades at the exact same time. I've literally, like, I think I have literally increased my strength by 20 kilos in my bench press in under 90 days, when I was working on my YouTube channels, when I was working on like my coaching package, when I was working on all of these things. I have literally done this at the same time, simply because my focus is so high that I just need to put in about an hour to get the same results that other people get in 5. Do you see the importance here of doing these things and putting in work towards your productivity? Now, when it comes to how to use one trick to speed up your results even faster, you need to create a new identity for yourself. If you see yourself as somebody who's procrastinating, who's lazy, who don't get the work done always, you simply need to change that, because if you want to wormhole your way to success today, you simply need to start changing your self-identity, because you cannot make progress. I repeat that. You cannot make progress. You need to shift your identity so that you become the person who's already made the progress, and that's simply when the progress will follow you, and then you will get to where you want to go. And if you can just understand that if you wormhole yourself and shift your self-identity, you will literally look back at yourself a month from now, at your current self, and laugh. You will literally think, how pathetic, I couldn't even work properly. That's what I'm thinking every single month, simply because I wormhole myself through this, and I do acquire resources, knowledge faster, simply because I improve my self-identity, and I am clear on what I want to accomplish. So how do we improve our identity? Well, there is a pretty simple formula. You simply need to define where you are right now, so your A point, and then you need to define your B point as well. Where do you want to end up? So first of all, it's going to take some humility to admit where you are currently. This is going to be lay the foundation for your A point. And your A point is simply where you are currently. Where are you right now? If you say to yourself, I'm extremely productive, you're probably like lying if you are struggling with procrastination. But if you aren't, then I don't even know why you're watching this. So simply define how much could you increase your productivity, like a rough number, or where you are currently, or how often you do procrastinate. And it's better to be honest than to lie, because if you lie, the progress that you make will seem less significant than if you actually were honest and truthful from the beginning. So now when you've defined where you are currently, you simply need to define your B point, where you want to end up. I would set myself a goal to increase it by 10 to 25%, simply in a matter of like 30 to maybe 120 days, something around that. You simply need to set yourself a goal that is reasonably unreasonable, a goal that feels a bit hard to acquire, but then you start to work towards it and you genuinely believe that you can acquire it. So if you don't believe that you will become productive, there's no way in doing this, because then you won't take the action to actually do it, because you probably clicked on a video like this simply because you already have the belief system that you can overcome this, but you simply lack the tools. And that's why I think you should actually work with me with the link in the description. And the more you start to define your B point specifically, then that's the moment that you will literally take charge of where you are. And then what you simply need to do is you just need to play a mental movie of yourself accomplishing that B point. So how do you do this? You simply close your eyes, you visualize that you are at the B point. How does it feel? Think of it as like you are literally creating a new memory for yourself. You're literally creating a new memory for yourself that is going to happen in a month or 2 months or 3 months from now or even a year from now. And you literally see that and you start to manifest it via action, because once your brain thinks that is real, you will literally start to act towards it simply to justify that memory. And this is how you wormhole through your identity. Last but not least, I just want to say to you, if you want more videos on this, you can comment, like, subscribe, whatever you want to do. Just implement these 3 simple tips and I promise you that you will literally make even faster progress than what you've done before. I really do hope that you got some value out of this video, and I'll see you in the next one.